I spoke to you about Joseph a couple of days ago, and another phrase in his life has kind of come home to me, where it says he was a successful man. Now, he says that when he was in Potiphar's house. And Potiphar had made him his slave, so he's in slavery, and yet God's assessment is this: he was a successful man. That's a tremendous statement when you think of the limitations in which Joseph was living. And again, just to remember the terrible way he'd been treated in order to be there. He was at home, his father's favourite, wearing the multicolored coat, and now he's in slavery. He had so much to be resentful about, so much to be angry about. And you know, you won't have that testimony, he was a successful man, if you're eaten up with anger about what's happened in the past, full of resentment. No, I believe he got through quite early on. He was able to forgive and forget and trust God. And so he was a successful man in that home, within the limitations of that home. God gave him success. Now, the Lord was with him. Well, beloved, the Lord is with you. God is with us. He's able to make us successful in a shut-in circumstance. We're pretty shut in at the moment. I guess many of us feel, if only I could get out from here. And I want to say this too, that he not only didn't live in the past, which he could have done, thinking what it used to be like, or he could have projected everything into the future. One day I'll get out of here. One day I can serve the Lord. One day I'll find fulfillment. But no, he's a successful man where he was. I've met many people over the years who project everything into the future. Well, when I get married, or when the children have come, or when I get a different job, or even sometimes pastors, well, I'm in this little church, when I get into another church. And that constant projection into the future, it doesn't make you successful. God wants us to enjoy the journey, not live in the past or in the future, but to live for today. Are you doing that? Drawing on his sufficiency for now, not full of regret or resentment. You know, Jesus said some interesting things. He said, if you're faithful in a little, God will give you much. He said, if you can't be trusted with what they call unrighteous things, secular things, who will give you true riches? God's watching to see how faithful we are, timekeeping, handling things. He'll give you true riches, spiritual riches. And then another, he says, if you're faithful in another's, he'll give you your own. I mean, Joseph was faithful in Potiphar's house. He was faithful in prison, even in the prison. It says the chief jailer gave him the responsibility. He was so faithful. God promoted him to become prime minister. Even David, you remember David? The way he looked after his father's sheep, not his own. He got no merit for it for himself, but for his father's sheep. He wrestled with a lion, with a bear. God says, if you look after your father's sheep like that, I want you to look after my nation. I'm looking for a king like this. Beloved, God's always watching us. We want to be successful in the now. Don't project everything to the future. Don't look back and say, if only. Let's live for now. And let's remember this story of Joseph, that the Lord was with him. The Lord's with us. He can make us successful now because his grace is enough for us. God bless you through another day.